Lawmakers demand details on migrant girl's death. Washington accusing the government of staging a concealment. A group of Democratic lawmakers is pressing the Trump administration for details on the case of a migrant girl whose September death in U.S. custody was not publicly disclosed until Wednesday by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, comprised of Latino Democrats in the House and Senate, is demanding the Departments of Health and Human Services (HHS) and Homeland Security (DHS) provide Congress with more information on the death of Darlene Valle, a 10-year-old girl from El Salvador with heart defects, who died in HHS custody last fall. The CBS News was the first to report that Darlene, who had a debilitating heart condition, died in HHS custody last year. She was the in addition to Darlene's death, 5 Guatemalan children apprehended by U.S. authorities near the southern border have died since December, 3 of whom were in CBP custody and 1 who died shortly after being released by the agency. The Hispanic Caucus sent a Friday to the heads of DHS and the Office of Refugee Resettlement an agency within HHS in charge of caring for unaccompanied migrant minors. In the letter, signed by caucus chair Republic Joaquin Castro, the 2 Democrats gave a June 7 deadline for their demands. Mark Weber, a spokesperson for HHS, told CBS News that the girl had a history of congenital heart defects. Weber said, when following Castro and Gallego asked in their letter if Darlene was seen by a CBP clinician, and why she was kept in HHS custody for approximately 7 months despite her grave medical condition. Reiterating raised by Castro when the death was first reported, the lawmakers demanded the administration identify the people and agencies who were informed of the girl's death and whether any member of Congress or congressional committee was briefed on it. They also requested it. On Thursday, Deputy CBP Commissioner Robert Perez, the second highest-ranking CBP official, told he's confident in the data his agency has publicly disclosed about the deaths of migrant children in U.S. custody. He stressed, spokespersons for HHS did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.